a semester left, a year left. Whatever your scholarship amount is that you get awarded, that is going to be spread over. If it's a 2-year scholarship, you can start the money this summer. They used to have it where your 2-year scholarship literally meant fall and spring for the next 2 years. But we found that as soon as we awarded these scholarships in May, students were going to school in the summer and they needed their money. And it doesn't matter to us. That would be ridiculous to make you take out more loan money or whatever the situation is. So we can work it out however you need it to go over the 2-year period. If you want your payments to be bigger, then obviously it would be less time. This is last year's class. 39 scholarships were given out last year. The year before, we gave out more scholarships but less money. Last year, the scholarships were all very substantial. So we'll just be going on this year and seeing what students' needs are. We have an undergraduate scholarship and a graduate scholarship. Is anybody in here going to be in a graduate program next year? Or these are all undergraduates, because I don't want to...
They're undergraduates. I don't think anybody's starting any graduate courses next year. No, not next semester.
Okay. So these are, the piece of paper that I passed out has some important information on it. It has the website where you are going to find the application. And we're going to go through really quickly what the application looks like and some tips of what you can do that might help with the selection committee. It also has the application date. It opened up November 1st. It's going to close February 1st at 5 p.m. No exceptions. You can be logged into your account, but if you've not submitted by 5 p.m., then you will not be considered for scholarship. And it has my contact information as well as the other person in my office, Shannon, who works with students. At any time during the application period, please reach out if you have questions on the application or something with the qualifications or whatever. If it's after hours, email me. We definitely will answer you. My cell phone is on my signature line. I have no problem with a student texting me. I'd much rather you ask a question. I know you guys are all busy, so our hours may not be matching up, but I don't want that to become a pain in the butt where you can't reach me or get an answer to your question. So honestly, I don't mind at all. For the undergraduate eligibility, this is what you will find when you get on. You do need to be a resident of Palm Beach, Martin, or Broward County. You must maintain a 2.5 GPA. You must have financial need. Other than the GPA requirement, there are no other academic requirements. There's not they're not looking for a certain amount of community service, and you'll see what is on the application, but there is not a requirement. Financial need. If you're undergraduate, then you probably are submitting FAFSAs. I don't know, but if you're trying to get aid from PBA, then you definitely are submitting FAFSAs. I'm not looking for the type of financial need, same situation as a FAFSA. I don't need to have, whether it's your income or your parents' income, it doesn't need to be at some certain low level or you're not going to qualify for financial need. Plum Health isn't very strict on that. There are levels of income that they're not going to feel that you have a need for, or if your parents' income is so high that they're going to say there's not a financial need. But your nursing program is expensive, so that's certainly taken into consideration. And it's going to say on the application that you must upload a financial aid award letter. There is only one spot on the application for an upload, and that is it. No resumes or tax transcripts or anything like that is getting uploaded into the application. If you do not have a financial aid award letter from PBA, then you need to type up a statement saying I am not receiving any financial aid, and then upload that, just so we understand what we're looking at when we're looking at your application. Their last requirement has changed. It used to be mandatory that if you received a scholarship for them for every year that you received it, you had to work in Palm Beach County. That has changed considerably. They have language now that says they'd like you to attempt to get a job. They want you to work. That's the bottom line. So if you have a job offer and it's in Martin County or anywhere else and you're active and you're actually working in the nursing field, that's what they want. So nobody's going to come looking for you for repayment of the scholarship that you got. because you're not working in Palm Beach County. I mean, obviously they would love it. I know PBA is very involved with Palm Health and community service. They love you guys. So it's, obviously they're trying to build up their nursing corps in Palm Beach County, but they're certainly not going to penalize anybody or ask for repayment. So those are the graduate, just so you know, if you go on to a graduate program, we have undergraduate and graduate students that receive the scholarship. So as high as you want to go, they will keep doing this. And keep in mind, if you get a year scholarship, you are going to have to reapply. And there's no guarantee that you'll get it the next year. The way that our scholarship works is that we have a selection committee that's made up of nurses and people in your profession. If they're not nurses, they're certainly familiar with what you're going through. And they are going to read and score your applications 5 times, and the lowest score is going to be dropped. And that remaining average score will determine if you make it to the next phase, which is an interview. You cannot get a scholarship if you don't receive an interview. Last year, I don't know if it's going to be the same last year, but last year we had separate Palm Health interviews that were on a Saturday, and then there is another donor advised fund that had interviews on a different day. Have no idea if that's how it's going to work out this year, but I do know Palm Health interviews will be on a Saturday. And for those students who called in that day that had interviews and said, I can't make it, I'm at work or something like that, I mean, we will do phone interviews. Students certainly get scholarships that have phone interviews, but I would definitely try to be there in person. There's just something different if you're face-to-face with the people that are actually interviewing you. So when you go onto the website, I'm going to point this out, which sounds very basic, but I have a high school scholarship application that is going on at the same time. I have already gone into my Palm Health applications and have found at least 8 or 9 students who are filling out the Palm Health, who are high school students, currently in high school, but they want to go into nursing, and vice versa. I've had Palm Health students filling out the high school ones. So when you get onto the website, you need to make sure that you are clicking the one that says Palm Health and not the high school. Otherwise, you are going to be filling out a way long application. Most of it's not going to apply to you because it's going to be asking for high school information, which obviously doesn't apply. So you're going to click on that. You can read through the eligibility again if you need to, and then click here to apply. Please make sure you're using an email that you check regularly, because that's the only way that we're going to communicate with you during the application process. The application is very simple. I say that simple compared to my high school one, but this one is in 2 parts. It's the main application, and then it's all of the financial information. You can go back into each part, you can edit it. Even after you submit it, you can go back into your application if there's something you need to change before the deadline date. Everything that is on this that has an asterisk is required, mandatory. If you try to submit the application, it's not going to let you. I will point out that this selection committee, this is the first thing they're seeing is your profile. I mean, there is going to be like an eligibility question it's going to ask you at the very beginning before it'll even let you into the application, which is, are you a resident of Palm Beach, Martin, or Broward County? If you live in Dade County, it's not going to let you into the application because you can't live in Dade County. But I will point out that this is the first thing the selection committee is seeing. And in all of my scholarships that have selection committees, I can tell you it's little silly things that sometimes make the difference between your score being high enough for an interview and somebody else's. They're looking to see if you're going to be a good investment. Are you dedicated to your nursing studies? Are you going to stay in school? Are you going to graduate? Are you going to get a job? Well, how do you really tell something like that? I mean, you could do a really messy job on the application. It doesn't mean that you're not successful in your path, but they don't know you. They don't really have that much to go on. So all they have is this application until you get an interview, if you get one. So it's the little things like not taking the time to have proper capitalization and grammar and spelling throughout this application. If you are sloppy, it is going to make a difference in your score. This is the first thing they see about you, and I say this everywhere I go. It's not like I'm trying to be offensive to anybody, but people type like they text. So if everything's lowercase it's just those kind of little things. You know, you don't want to have anything that keeps you from a perfect score. That's where you start, and you don't want them to have any reason to start ticking off points, because you want to make sure you make the cutoff. You are going to make sure you check that you're applying for the undergraduate, if that's what you are applying for. You're going to have to write a personal statement that talks about why you wanted to be a nurse, what do you plan on doing. There is no word limit on this. Write as little or as much as you want. I would write enough so that it's a proper essay, not I want to be a nurse, obviously, that's not an essay. Your spelling and all of that other stuff that I've mentioned throughout the application, that matters in this essay. They're not looking for you to be a creative writing major and a world-class writer, but again, it's those things that if you're taking the time with this to put a thoughtful statement, again, they don't know you, so these are the kind of things where you can actually fill out more than just a drop-down menu. So you want them to have a reason to give you a higher score, not something to take away from it. It is really important in this education. I need to know that you guys are already in the nursing program, but I'm not going to know this when this application is. So you have to put in that you have been already accepted. It's very important that I know when your graduation date is, because are you going to need money for a semester, a year, 2 years? That might put you into different donor advice funds. So please make sure that you are answering these questions. At the bottom is where you're going to upload your financial aid award letter. We do award students who are getting scholarships from your school, institutional aid. If you qualify for federal Pell money, that is not a deterrent for you receiving the scholarship. Like, our goal with this scholarship is that it supplements anything that you are receiving if you are, and maybe hopefully prevents you from taking out like a lot of loan money. Work experience, very common sense, community and volunteer activities, awards. All of these, you're going to have a drop-down menu of how many that you want to add on the community and the awards. The awards are not academic. I mean, they are, but they're not just academic. I would think outside the box. Anything that you guys are doing, a lot of different things. Certainly, if you've been doing any community service that involves Plum Health at all, I know they do several projects with you guys, but really anything that you can put down. It's not required that you have anything. I have students who submit applications who do not, but obviously that, anything you have, you want to brag about yourself. Then you are going to write a second essay, and if you want to. This one is going to be for the scholarship committee to understand your financial situation. And why you need this. They're not looking for specifics like I need $3,000. Normally our selection committees don't get any information about finances, and they're not going to get the financial part behind this, but this is your opportunity to kind of plead your case. I will give you a hint. They don't like woe is me, or that you have a sense of entitlement. I'm not saying anybody would. I'm just trying to make sure you don't fall into that trap. But if you have any kind of circumstance here that makes it a much more compelling argument as to why you need financial aid from us, and it can be as simple as, it's going to make the difference between you taking out a lot of money in loans, but whatever it is, then you can list that. They also list some other things that if that applies to you, meaning in the challenge area, like you're a single parent, you don't have a job, you're unemployed, or anything to do with your parents, because if you are a dependent, then the whole financial part of this application that I haven't shown you yet is all your parents. And so maybe their job loss or their unemployment or something that's happened within your family that makes you want to put that in the application. This is the family and home information section. The selection committee is not going to see any of this. You're going to mark if you're independent or dependent. If you're independent, then all of this section is going to go away, because I don't need to know about your father and your mother and what their jobs are and how much money they make, because you're an independent student. So you claim yourself on your taxes. I just need your information, your job, your salary, that information. But if you claim dependent, then this is what you're gonna see. I have to have this information in the application. If there's some reason why you feel like you can't put it in, and again, I'm not asking for an upload of tax records, but you're not gonna be able to submit an application without it. So if there's an issue, then definitely give me a call. You do have a comment block. So let's say you are putting your parents' information in, and the tax information is gonna show that your dad's salary is really high. But since they filed for taxes, he's disabled or lost his job or something like that, or some other circumstance. If it's something that you want to put in here that you didn't write about in your essay, then that's what the comment is for. So I understand, and you would not be writing about, somebody might write about in that financial need essay if there's that kind of a situation, but they're not going to see your taxes. I will, and I'll be looking at a tax record that shows something. If that's not reality, and that's just an example, then you would use the comment box for that. Then I have questions that are straight from, this isn't the tax return, but this is, again, if you are dependent, these are your parents. I don't need your assets if you're dependent. I need your parents' assets and their expenses. If you're independent, then this applies to you. And then I'm going to have about 5 questions that are right from a tax form. Again, if you are dependent, this is your parents' taxes. If you are independent, this is yours. I don't want the tax return. You are going to have to bring that, a transcript, a student aid report from your FAFSA if you get an interview. But if you get an interview, you'll get a very detailed email that'll tell you all the documents that you have to bring to your interview. And again, nobody in the selection committee is going to see any of this. And that's it. This is not a really long application. You're going to save it. You're going to have a chance to review the whole application, which I suggest you do. When you submit it, you should immediately get an email that says, thank you for submitting your application. Thank you for applying. If you don't get that email, you check your spam, you still don't have it, you need to contact me immediately because your application has not been submitted. You think it has been. You're going to contact me after the deadline and say, Leslie, I submitted my application in December, and I'm going to look you up, and if you're in drafts, I can't do anything. Because if you haven't submitted this by February 1st at 5 p.m., I can't do anything to help you in that regard. The timeline right now with Palm Health, it might change a little bit because Palm Health gets involved in that timeline, but tentatively, we have the last Friday in March, the 27th, to send out notifications of whether you are receiving an email or not. And then I believe interviews are tentatively scheduled for the second Saturday for the main Palm Health. If we separate them, like I said, like we did last year, there will be a school day where there will be interviews at a donor's office here in West Palm. But you will get all of that notification that Friday. Last year we had to notify Palm Health students at the very end of April because Palm Health was hosting a reception, and it's like a little bit too far in the future, I guess I should say. That decision hasn't been made. For my high school students, I don't notify them until May 7th or May 8th that they've received the scholarship. If you end up going on my same timetable, then that's when you would find out. And I would send you information on how you receive your scholarship. You would get that by email. And then again, we try to have a reception for the Palm Health students, but that is up to your actual donor. So that is to be determined. But it is a lot of money, and it's not a lot that there's only 6 schools that even are in the qualification. So you are not competing with every nursing program in Palm Beach County. You are competing with students from these 6 schools. And there's no limit on how many students get it from Palm Beach Atlantic. It literally is going to be a ranking system. If you get interviewed, you start all over again, and you're scored on your interview, and that's what it's based on. So I always have a lot of students for Palm Beach Atlantic. And I don't know what else to do to encourage you. I mean, I send emails every January saying I have this many students who've applied, and I have this many students who are in draft, and my draft list is always way longer. So you definitely aren't going to get any scholarship money if you don't apply, and it's not going to take a tremendous amount of time to do this. You can always save it as you're going, so you don't have to do this in one sitting. So I really encourage everybody to apply. Any questions? I know I was talking really fast because I know some of y'all have been here waiting and you have other things to go do. Remember, you have my contact information, so if at any point during it you need to get in touch with me, I encourage you to. Thank you.